It's still, amazes me actually that I've got away with it for this long. So always there's been lots of things happen on that journey, together as a band, and personally and with the band and musically, we've sort of grown together, but to still be doing that after all these years and still be in a position to be able to choose what to do and what kind of music you want to make, that's just, kind of an amazing place to be. I mean, the music, the music sort of business has changed so much over the years that I've been involved in it. Um, and, there's still a lot of great music that I hear. A band that I've been listening to sort of obsessively recently is a band called Algiers, which is a sort of combination of electronics and gospel and blues and these great rhythms, and a great atmosphere, sound in the album itself. But when I find a record like that, it makes me very excited about making music and about again challenging the idea of what it is I think I am or I am doing. Well, it's you know I think up here, it's like I don't feel like my age, if that makes any sense. Physically, I do sometimes, but when I'm on the road and when I'm performing, it's where I feel most comfortable. I just and for that, couple of hours or whatever it is, hour and a half or a couple of hours on stage, you know, I feel very comfortable and at home, and you get carried by the music, you get carried by the audience, the people that are all part of what happens there. Um, you can't really explain it unless you're sort of there and you've been part of something like that. When you, um, I mean, I get moved by stuff, by music especially, but by film as well, movies, and um, you know, walking around a museum and being sort of in awe of somebody's work. Um, this stuff for me keeps me, I think, it enables me to sort of keep youthful, if that's the right word, in my mind, and in my dreams and in my imagination. And to me, that's where I spend a lot of time, like just, in this fantasy world. I feel, as well, like I'm lucky to do this. I really do. After all these years, it's like, um, I feel very fortunate now that I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I'm actually doing the best work I've ever done. So you know, I don't know when that's going to end, but it will come to that at some point. But right now, I feel like I'm on some kind of roll with that. So when we first began as a teenager, I was barely, I think I was like 18 or 19, but I thought at best maybe 25 it would all be done, and so here we are today. I'm still sort of making music, and making the kind of music that I want to make. That's more important than anything else. Yeah, I mean, we were very fortunate, like very early on when we started recording, that we got to work with really great people and people that were very much nurturing and encouraging us and helping us to create a sound of our own. And that took some time, but we gradually got there. But people like Daniel Miller, Gareth Jones, engineering, Flood, producing, there's people along the way that definitely steered us in the right direction, and helped us to develop a sound. And that was a lot to do with those people that help to kind of tell us that you've got to develop your own thing. You've got to be true to yourself, and despite what's going on out there, there's a lot of competition, yes, but you got to stick to it. And we were very lucky that we didn't burn out when we were very young. um well, when I work outside of my band, if I'm, when I'm anything that I do, I feel like I've learned this really over the last sort of 15 years that I've been doing it. It really challenges me, and and that's not to say that Depeche Mode doesn't challenge me. It really does, and but it's different. I've worked with Martin, for 35 years now, and I find that when I go outside of that working relationship and try my hand at something else, I think it really just enhances what I do when I come back with Depeche Mode. It enables me to, stretch as a musician and as an artist, out of my comfort zone and to do things that I wouldn't normally do. Um, and I enjoy both equally. I enjoy both things. They're just it's very different. When I'm working with Depeche Mode, it's not just the band. There's a lot of people that have worked for us for many years, like that are all part of the team. If you like, and it goes way beyond just making a record in the studio. Then we go into doing these big performances all over the world, and that goes on for maybe a year or a year and a half. So it's a big commitment. Whereas when I'm doing something like this with this Soul Savers record, the process of writing is very much left to just me and Rich. There's nobody getting involved in that. There's no outside kind of interference. There's nobody saying, "Oh, you can't do that," or "That's not going to work." So we really just, like I said before, just follow the idea, and we both, Rich and I both kind of come from this. We both interested in the same kinds of music, blues and gospel, and where that's from, and everything that's happened to that kind of music and that has been used over the years by, you know, uh, people like Depeche Mode. We have a lot of influences that are sort of based in blues and gospel. Even though we take that and make that something different, really the ideas and a lot of the original sort of musicality is from blues and gospel. It, it's not some well. I was going to say not religion, but there that does come into it. There's sort of imagery that's around religion and religions, um, but it's to me it's more the sort of spiritual side of things and this feeling that there is something else, and that I sort of jump between the two things, that there isn't and there is, and there's a force out there in the world that is calling out to us, to do something about everything that we're doing here on our planet. But we seem to ignore it, we seem to choose to ignore it because, we're human. And, but I think it kind of creeps on the songs and it creeps within the music. And music to me is a great motivator to move and to get me to do something, to get my attention. When I'm writing songs, if I allow it, I think that force, whatever that is out there, which I try and sort of listen to, it comes through the music, So I have to get out of the way because my will is not where it's supposed to be going, and so and it's that's really it. Once you sort of get an idea for a song or something, or it's something starts, a melody comes into my head, or you know, I really, especially with Soul Savers, I get to do that a lot more because it really is, just Rich and I trying to get to the same place together. We don't really talk about it much, but we know that it's somewhere we're trying to get. We're trying to make music that is unaffected by whatever else may be going on musically around us. It's music that will make you feel something, and when that happens, it's kind of magical. So, I think with this album we were lucky to be able to achieve that somehow, together, without trying to sound sort of arrogant about it or whatever. But I really think that we made a great record together. It's a great piece of music that it should be listened to as a whole piece of music as well. It's not like the kind of thing you're going to listen to where, of course, you can have your favorite songs or whatever. When you're listening to it, and I do, any particular time, but I listen to it as a whole thing, a whole piece of work. Again, there's sort of metaphorically, for me, it's people that are in my life, it's things, it's situations, and that being the angels and the informers, the stuff that's around you all the time, and that we get these sort of messages, and we get informed of the way we should be leading our lives, but we choose to do something else. I do. And then, for me, ghosts, it's like memories, and it's all we really have, and it's all we get to leave this place with. It's like, it's it's the only thing that matters, really. So memories, again, inform us. So that's really what Angels and Ghosts means to me, and it's all those on the front cover of the album, there's these sort of this collage of photographs of me where I'm almost all these different personalities within one personality, and that really does sum me up, to be honest. But sums a lot of us up, right? But my daughter actually took those photographs, and it was something she was doing for school, and just I happened to see the work that she was doing, and was like, wow, it's amazing. And my manager saw it as well and was like, would make a fantastic album cover. And we ended up having to ask her, my 16-year-old daughter, who was 15 at the time, can I use this image like for the cover? It works perfectly with this. The title of the album is Angels and Ghosts, and it's kind of. And she was like, well, as long as you don't mess with my work too much, I don't want you messing with it. And it's like a true artist. So, yeah, that's one of the things that's great about the internet, of course, is that, we're never too far away from anybody. And when, when Rich and I are writing together, what usually happens is he'll sort of send me some sort of idea that they have musically, some atmosphere stuff going on, and something that's not too structured, so that I'm able to just go off in my imagination and come up with some sort of melodies and ideas for lyrical content, and that kind of doesn't really explain itself to me until I'm really in the process, and then I start to sort of be informed by what I'm writing. To be honest, I just follow the idea. I don't edit it um, until much later on in the process. I sort of allow the song or whatever it is that's coming to just hopefully just flow through me. And I really believe that. I believe it's an experience that happens like deep in your soul or whatever that is. And if you allow it, through music or whatever it is you're doing, artistically, especially, I feel like, words start to appear, and, it usually happens to me in a very visual sort of way. And then I kind of go with that. Um, Sometimes it's not until the song's really finished that I start to realize what it is I was trying to get at. Well, I mean, we really um, we were sort of very specific about the type of places that I wanted to put this music into. So we chose these like theaters, because of the way they look and feel and stuff like that inside. And this particular place here in Los Angeles is very sort of beautiful looking little theater. So